Alright, so we are back with part two. I'm Angelique, and I'm going to be talking a bit more about what I was saying in the last video, where I was denied the right to start a pro-life club at my high school, and what I did about it. And then we'll go on to what I did after that, and where I am now. So, during this whole process, while I was trying to get this club started, I started doing research on people that could help me get this thing started, and that's when I found Students for Life of America, and they put me in contact with a law firm that I ended up using to send demand letters, and they also connected me with a media relations person and basically got me a bunch of interviews with national sources, so I was able to share this message so far and so wide, further than I could have ever imagined. So it was such a blessing in disguise, the entire thing. Had I not been denied my right to start a pro-life club, I would not have been able to share the reality of how difficult it is for people with unpopular opinions to speak up in our society, and I would not have had the opportunity to share more about what abortion does to human life and what a pro-abortion culture is doing to humanity. So that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life, being able to go on national television and speak to hundreds and hundreds of people all at one time about what I was going through and what preborn are going through in an abortion every day. And so this was going on for months, and the school was still not letting up. They were still not just surrendering to the fact that they were on the wrong side of the law, that they were breaking federal law. So they continued denying my demands. I wrote my own personal demand letter to my administration, my principal, my vice principal, and the superintendent of Clark County School District to let them know about the First Amendment and the Equal Access Act in case they weren't super familiar with those. And they still ignored me. And, I was a little offended. Just kidding, I wasn't actually offended. I was a little upset that I couldn't start the club when I was a sophomore, when I, applied for the club. But, all good things come with time. So over those months, I was sending those letters, those demand letters, and I was doing press conferences, news, all these different articles and stories and whatever. And during this time, of course, I'm still going to school, and the friends that I would talk to about this issue, who were already getting, a little tired of me talking about it, they were kind of abandoning me, and I became sort of like the most hated person on campus type of thing. And it really didn't bother me. And I think the reason it didn't bother me was because I knew that I was fighting for a cause that was bigger than myself. And so when people hated on me personally, like, oh, that girl who's suing the school, I'll get to that part, that girl, who's fighting for this cause that's so controversial and stuff, I never really was super bothered by the personal attacks that were coming at me, because not only did I have God with me, and so I wasn't walking alone, even though I was physically alone a lot of the time. I wasn't spiritually alone ever. And so I was able to have a lot of strength because of that. And that was surely why I was so at peace with what I was doing, that it didn't faze me when even teachers would, make fun of what I was doing or things like that. And yeah, so not only was I having the school and all the students and the teachers and the administration fighting me, but also hundreds of people online, on social media and on these news articles I was doing, people making fun of everything from my face to like my actual cause, which I at least appreciated the fact that they were talking about what I was talking about and not me personally. But that aside, this whole journey eventually landed me in my junior year of high school, still being denied, and so myself and my lawyer decided to go to the next level and go ahead and say, if y'all aren't gonna let her have the club because it's her right to do so, we're gonna have to file a lawsuit. And then we did. And 3 days after this lawsuit was filed, the Clark County School District approved the club, and I had the club. And so all they really did was cost taxpayers money and cause a huge scene. Like hundreds of thousands of people were, sending emails and phone calls to the school, supporters of what I was doing, to demand that I have the club. And so pretty much my vice principal, who at the beginning of this scenario was telling me, like, you're too young to talk about this, and pro-choice people are going to feel left out if you have this club, and all these negatives and all these reasons why at an educational institution, no, I'm going to tell a student, no, you can't learn more about an issue that you're interested in. No, which makes no sense. We went from there to, he doesn't want to have any bad press on the school for a pro-life club to be in existence. So instead, he opted for the route where the school looks super bad, and he personally looks super bad because he's denying the First Amendment free speech rights of a student on campus. So anyways, I got the club. It was great. It was amazing. We did a ton of amazing things. Yes, I was alone a lot of it, especially starting out. I was just tabling by myself during lunch and, talking to students about what I was trying to do and about this issue and why we should care. And oftentimes at these meetings, I was the only person in the room besides my advisor, which shout out to my advisor, who, by the way, was pro-abortion, but she was very supportive of my free speech rights. And even when the school wanted to lie to the media, saying I didn't have an advisor from the get-go, I always had her. And so even though they lied, her signature was on that application the entire time, and I will always love her for that. Anyways, so that was my experience kind of diving into the pro-life movement. That was my mild, not crazy at all experience with getting invested in fighting for the equal rights of all human beings. So that was when I was 14 to 16, and then of course, I continued doing that club throughout high school. And then the next thing I did was, the day after I graduated high school, I went on a 2-month-long van trip with a couple of awesome people, and we traveled through several states to bring the pro-life message to Christian music festivals. And this was called Rock for Life, a fantastic organization that I keep very near and dear to my heart, even though they no longer exist. And this experience really, really transformed me. It allowed me to see beyond this, see the issue beyond my own scope. I was, of course, in Las Vegas. I was in my high school, and even though I did have, I did make a lot of connections with a lot of other pro-life people and pro-abortion people around the world because of that experience, I still hadn't spoken to the people that abortion affects the most, which are the people, the mothers who are going through unplanned pregnancy. It's the families of maybe the daughter who's having an abortion, or the boyfriend who doesn't want his girlfriend to get an abortion, or, the babies who were saved from abortion, the sidewalk counselors who helped save the baby from abortion, people who were adopted who were going to be aborted, and all these different people who are the faces and the hearts and the souls behind what this issue is affecting and who this issue is affecting. And so this journey was my biggest leap into coming face to face with the human beings who are affected by abortion. And in part 3 of this video series about why I'm pro-life and how I got involved and all of that, I'm going to be talking more in depth about that road trip and that mission opportunity that I had when I was 18, and why it left such an impact on me and why it influences what I do today. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for part 3.